has been demonstrated recently to increase BDNF. But the most important thing you need to buy to improve your BDNF is a new pair of running shoes, because aerobic exercise is able to manipulate the expression of his BDNF. Why is that?
Specifically aerobic.
Well, to a lesser degree, resistance exercise as well. But I'm simply telling people 20 minutes a day, 5 days a week, hopefully more, at a heart rate value of 180 minus your age. As a target, of course, consult your healthcare practitioner. But what a powerful way to reduce your risk for dementia. How can I connect those dots and make that statement to you as we sit here? Well, the Journal of the American Medical Association has wonderfully correlated baseline BDNF levels with future risk for dementia. You want to have more of this chemical that does two important things. It increases the growth of new brain cells in your brain's memory center, which is a powerful target for Alzheimer's. And it also increases the connection of brain cells one to the other, a process called neuroplasticity, that we can actually allow our brains to take advantage of the experiences that we then choose to pursue to build a better brain. And that
is the BDNF a building block of that? Or
no, it is not.
It's a signaling molecule.
It is a signaling molecule. I mean, our brain cells want to connect to each other. And our lifestyle choices that are highly stressful, that are deprived of restorative sleep, that are higher in sugar in terms of diet, that are overall stressful, increase cortisol, for example, that inhibits the growth of new brain cells, actually compromises our brain cell population in the very areas that we need them most, like the memory center, the hippocampus. So we can reverse that. We can tip the scales in our favor and say, I'm not going to continue losing brain cells. I'm actually going to repopulate my memory center with new brain cells. That study was done out here at UCLA in collaboration with researchers at University of Pittsburgh, led by a Dr. Erickson, demonstrating two groups of people, 100 people in each group. One group stretched for a period of a year. The other group was involved in aerobics. They found that those who stretched had lower levels of BDNF, declining memory function, and shrinkage on very sophisticated brain scans in terms of their hippocampus size, which is the...
Let's pause there, because I want to walk through this and make sure that I understand. This is incredible and potentially very useful, but I want to make sure that I understand the sequence of events.
Right.
Okay, so first of all, does BDNF trigger the regrowth of brain cells across the brain or just the hippocampus?
No. Good point. We used to say the brain doesn't grow new brain cells. End of story, right? I mean, you're probably too young to know that.
No, that's what I was taught.
When I was in medical
up,
school, we were told that your brain maxes out at about age 18, then every beer you drink after that, it's 40,000 brain cells, or whatever the magic number was. For whatever reason, I don't remember that. But how incredible that in your 90s, you were still growing new brain cells. You have this gift of regrowth, of neurogenesis. It's a choice you can make. You can make it today after watching this podcast by dragging those sneakers out, and if only going to the mailbox is as far as you can go, then have at it. Tomorrow you'll do that twice.
And the sequence is you're doing the exercise is creating BDNF. BDNF is then triggering hippocampal cell growth?
Hippocampal, yes. But beyond that, another area too called the subventricular layer of what's called the ependyma. In the layer of cells that underlies those fluid-filled compartments that you see when you look at a brain scan. But for our purposes, the synaptoplasticity and the neuroplasticity, the connection of brain cells happens throughout the brain. We also depend on a process called synaptic pruning. What does that mean? It means that also for brain function, we have to have the ability, as we are in our childhood and adolescence, to cut back on the number of connections that we have in order to kind of refine the computer to make it work at its optimal level. So,
which it's doing, I'm assuming, based on repetition. What you do the most is going to get the most connections. Right. It's going to get the highest degree of insulation.
Exactly.
All of that.
Neurons that fire together will wire together, and those that don't will atrophy, will fall off the tree.
And so you're saying that that process, the firing together and wiring together, is one, repetition. Two, you get the BDNF if you're exercising that washes the brain in some way, signals to them, hey, in some way that makes them more active, more likely to connect.
So what is the advantage then, the evolutionarily coded or selected advantage that exercising people should have higher levels of BDNF and ultimately, let's just say, be more able to survive and cognitively superior in evolutionary terms?
Right.
And I guess it's the people who were healthy enough to hunt and gather and to lead the expeditions in our Paleolithic times. So these individuals, and I've never thought this before, I just was having a bit of a free association while you're talking. These are our ancestors, and evolutionarily they were selected because they were leading the group. So we can play upon that now that we understand that.
It's interesting. Do you think that there's any relation between movement and memory because of if you're moving and you're hunting or whatever, you need spatial relations, you need to understand sort of where you are. So I ask all these questions because one, like even when people talk about exercise, I never do cardio. I hate cardio, it's painful. But I lift all the time. But if you're telling me that that's actually not as powerful, then I'll start doing cardio. So I guess understanding like the nuance level so that I know how to act is ultimately the driving force behind my questions. So I think I understand BDNF, which is fascinating. In the last 10 minutes, my understanding of why that matters has skyrocketed. I want to go back